Today on the Railway Room, it's my first motive power modelling update. Hello friends, welcome to the Railway Room. So today it's my first motive power modelling update. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about some of the work that I've been doing recently on the locomotives for my layout. First though, a quick update about the layout itself of the new build. You may have seen the video that I put out just around the new year, part 1 of my new 009 layout build, and if you saw that you're probably wondering now, where is episode 2, when's that coming out? So there has been a slight delay. I've decided to pause construction work on the new layout, and the reason for that is, if you saw that video you'll know that I've been building it in stages, so that if I have to move to a different room then it'll be relatively easy to take it apart and reconstruct it in a new room. Now the situation has arisen that already I'm going to be moving to a different room to build the layout, so consequently I've decided there's not much point in doing any more construction work on the layout here as it is, and just wait until I'm set up in the new room, and then I can purpose build it better in the new room. So by the time I've got sorted and set up in the new room and then built enough to have a video to show, edited the video, we're probably going to be looking at late spring before the new layout video comes out. So obviously whilst I've paused work on the layout I'm still doing modelling, so I thought it'd be a nice idea to do a little video, show you some of the things that I have been doing. I've mostly been doing work on locomotives, so hence this is a locomotive update video, which will hopefully become a fairly regular occurrence. So, what progress have I made in the locomotive department recently? Well, I don't have many ready to run locos, but I did treat myself just after Christmas to the Bachmann Nesta. It's a really lovely little loco. I've already done a full video on this, so I'm not going to go into any detail on it here. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link. It'll be like a card or something somewhere. Just quick updates on the Nesta though. I have ordered the replacement nameplates because I'm going to rename it. They've been approved and they're being sent off to the etchers, so hopefully those plates should be here in the next couple of weeks. And just one quick little update since that video. When looking at it close up, I noticed that the corners of the lining weren't actually lining up very neatly. It's actually intentional. The Penrhyn lining does have inset corners around the lining. Looking at pictures of preservation era locos painted in this livery, it does seem that the amount that the corners are inset varies depending on who's done the painting, but I'm quite happy to say that that's not any kind of a fault in the Bachmann loco, and it is an intentional prototypical thing, so that's all good. If you did watch the Nesta video, you might have seen in the background in a couple of shots some of the other Hunslet locos that I am building at the moment. So one of them is this, which is a Chivers Finelines Dinorwic Mills class, and it's being built on the Ibertron chassis that the kit was designed for. I'm actually filming the building of this loco from scratch right through to hopefully when it's going to be a finished loco ready to enter traffic. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on this in this video, just to say that I've reached the point where the main white metal kit now is complete and I'm just ready to start painting and adding additional details. So look forward to the video of that coming up. The one thing that I would say, having got this far, is that I've built it using the Ibertron chassis. If I was building another one I would use the Bachmann Percy, the N-gauge chassis instead. I think it is going to be relatively easy to get it to fit in there. You just need to remove a little bit of the material from the underneath of the boiler, I think. But I'm pretty happy with it so far, and it seems like a good chassis as the Ibertrons go actually, so hopefully I'll get a good amount of usage out of it. I will probably wind up replacing the motor at some point and maybe converting to outside frames if I can pluck up the courage. You also saw, hopefully, in the video, there's a couple of the Dundas kits of Linda and Blanche, which I actually picked up very cheap since the Bachmann versions have been announced. I've actually got 3 of them in these little boxes here. And there's 2 Blanches and 1 Linda. Since I did that video, I've actually kind of taken them apart, so they're all kits of bits at the moment, because I want to put them back together, repaint them. Now the chassis are in different conditions really. One of the Blanches, the chassis is really good, so really well, as smooth as the Arbitron chassis get, so that's going to be a pretty good one to get straight back into traffic relatively quickly. The Linda chassis is pretty decent, a little bit of fettling, and I'm sure that will be able to get back up and running quite quickly. Now the other one, which I think is this one, there is one slight issue with it, and I don't know if you'll be able to see up close, but there is actually a gear missing. So the drive only leads to the rear wheel, and the front wheel has no geared connection to it. And that is causing me issues because it's relying purely on the quartering of the connecting rods to get the wheels in sync, and it's slightly out, so it keeps jamming up as I try and run it. I may carry on trying to fettle at getting it to work properly. I may wind up having to replace that. I believe that N-Drive are actually planning to release a new chassis for the Dundas kits. Apparently they are going ahead with that, even with the Bachmann coming out, because there are a lot of these Dundas kits around that would benefit from a new chassis, so I may very well wind up buying one or more of the N-Drive chassis when they become available. I may also have a go at converting one of these to outside frames. The 009 Society Handbook, I forgot what it was called there, does actually have some instructions for methods to convert these chassis to outside frames, so I haven't had a go. I don't know if it's going to be beyond my capability, if I'm just going to destroy the chassis or whatever, but I may well wind up giving that a go. If I do, I will film the process and upload it so you can all see how I get on with it. So one other loco that I have been working on is Robert. So this is a, well, when I bought it, it was a Meridian Models white metal kit for the Welsh Highland Railway Kerr Stuart diesel. It's actually released under the name Mosquito now. They are still available. And one good thing about this kit is that it actually includes enough parts for you to build either the Welsh Highland version or the later production run, which I think most of them went to Sudan. I'm not 100% sure of that. But there was enough spare parts in the kit for the alternate Sudan version that I was able to build a second loco out of the kit. I just needed to scratch build some extra parts using plasticard, which I think is mostly around the cab and possibly the front of the bonnet. So this one was called Henry, and that runs on the Kato, not quite sure how it's pronounced, 109 chassis, and that's a really smooth and quiet runner. It's very reliable. These two are actually named after my 2 nephews who also love their trains. So, hello Robert, hello Henry. Now the Welsh Highland version, that's mostly the kit. I originally built this using a Arnold chassis, an 0601. It was designed for a Minitrix 060. I had 2 or 3 of them and none of them ran very well, so I decided to go with the Arnold, which seemed like it was going to be a smoother runner. Unfortunately, after building it, I found it was rather troublesome, and it ran very nicely in one direction and not well at all in the other direction, and I kind of struggled with this loco. And eventually I decided, have done with that chassis, take it out, use it for spares, and I've rebuilt Robert now using... Ooh, yeah, no, you're not going to be able to get it out. That is a Bachmann Plymouth chassis. Is the newer brick version of it. That's a really powerful and reliable chassis. So to do that, I wound up having to cut the body off the footplate and then build a new footplate with a gap, the correct size to fit the chassis, and then rebuilt the loco around it. And whilst I've done that, I've also taken the opportunity to repaint the shutters on the cab here to a nice brown so they stand out better, and added a driver, and he's wearing a orange high-vis jacket because my railway is set in the preservation era. And since I've rebuilt it on this new chassis, happy to say that Robert is now a very powerful, smooth runner. He's going to be very useful on the layout once we get built, so very happy with that. You're going to be seeing a lot more of Robert on the videos coming up, I would think. What else have I been doing? There is my Chivers Edward Thomas kit, which is one of the early locos that I built. I think it was about the 4th loco that I had. Now this was finished in a very bright red that I was never particularly happy with, so I've decided to take the paint off, and I'm going to be repainting that in a different colour. I'm probably still going to go with red, but maybe a darker red. It's a bit more like the chorus livery. So I think that's enough for the locos that I've been working on recently for now. There'll probably be another video coming up. But to finish off, I just thought I would like to introduce a new loco which has not been seen on video before, which I've just finished, and tell you a little bit about that. So let's head over to the layout and take a look at it. Okay, so the new loco. There we go. So what have we here? So let me introduce you to number 11 in the fleet, Culhwch. So this is a Chivers Finelines kit for the Swindon built Vale of Rydal locos, and it's built on the Minitrix 262 chassis, which you probably heard coming. It's a very distinctive growl that they have, and this is the chassis that the kit is originally designed for. Now there is a ready-to-run version on the way from Model Rail magazine. I'm not sure how long it's going to be before they're ready to release. But I thought the chances are my model is not going to match that for detail. So I thought I would be a bit bold and finish my loco in a livery that is not going to be available on a ready-to-run version because it's never been carried on one of the prototype locos. I've gone a little bit rogue with it. So obviously the Rydal locos have run in BR Blue, but not this version of BR Blue. So what I've gone for is the earlier BR Express Passenger Blue. This is a kind of a imaginary what-if livery. So the real locos ran in BR lined green. So I thought I'd try finishing it in this livery, or version of it, see what it looks like, and I have to say, I'm very pleased with the results. I think it looks rather fetching. I have added some extra detail that you might be able to see in addition to the kit. So there's some extra pipe work and things on the top. There's real coal in the bunkers and a bunch of fire irons. The transfers for this have come from Model Master. The nameplates and number plates come from Light Railway Stores. The name is not entirely designed to frustrate English-speaking visitors, but it is taken from one of the oldest, possibly the oldest surviving tales of King Arthur, and the tale is Culhwch and Olwen, and it tells of the hero Culhwch, who has to fulfill a series of trials set by a giant so that he can marry the giant's daughter Olwen, and Culhwch receives some aid in his tasks from his friend King Arthur. Okay, so that's Culhwch, and that's it for this first Motive Power update. Hope you've enjoyed, found it a bit interesting maybe. If you did, feel free to give a like or subscribe if you like, no pressure. And until next time, happy modelling. See ya!